Hey guys, welcome to our review of Kamen Rider Saber, episode 23. I'm your host of Cinder Blaze. With me today we have.
The Frozen Stratos.
Alright, now let's jump right into this episode. And honestly, I enjoy this episode a lot. Like, a lot of things happen from like the villains factions, the heroes, even like the whole, sort of Logos organization. Like
Yeah,
we have
it
so many things.
exists.
Yeah,
Like,
we actually got to see it. And it wasn't like at like a dumb pace, of course, at the very end,
hmm
something just kind of happened, but for the most part, pretty solid episode. What'd you think about it?
I like, I really appreciate visualizing what's always been implied. Like, there is an organization, yeah. There are a bunch of operatives, yeah. But where are they? What are they doing? What do they even look like? What is this whole thing about? How am I supposed to care if I don't know what it is?
Yeah, for an organization that is so key to the story, and especially for the current plot line, they are always talking about, oh, there's a traitor within the organization, traitor within an organization. If we don't know what that organization is, it really doesn't help us,
Yeah.
really be committed to the plot. And now that we kind of like see it as a whole, we see that our villains are connected to the top of that organization. Like
hmm
he was like, "Oh, so you're the current master logos," and the current master's like, "Oh, so you might have been a former one." And when we kind of hear
Yeah.
something like that, we're just like, "Wait a minute." Now that that's like an actual possibility, it's not just like some like really ancient dude who has kind of been there from like the very beginning. It's someone who changes probably very frequently considering who we have.
That's true, yeah.
You know, like it opens up a lot and it kind of like helps world build something we
hmm
really needed in this kind of manner, like where they kind of like show us, don't tell.
hmm
Your
Yeah,
your
yeah.
signature phrase right there. I was like, that's amazing. Oh, and we finally get a name for the villains. They're the Cherry Boys.
the cherry boys. Cherry
It
boys.
is. I mean, technically, that's the name of the book
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one
yeah. But
bit
they,
fodder is, but
yeah.
the way he was kind of like holding it in his hand, like when we see that, we see how the group acts. Just there's a bunch of cherry boys, man,
Guys,
and
I've made our mixtape. Our mixtape is done. Uh, and you know what? It did take the powers of all of their Megids, or whatever the hell. So,
yeah,
it is their mixtape. They are the Cherry Boys.
yeah. So we're gonna like roll with that name. Obviously, some of them are still very thirsty to get some action.
yeah.
Legulus or whatever his name is,
Yeah.
Legolas.
Like there's
Man,
Zeus, there's Storius.
yeah, and then Legiel,
Yeah, okay.
Legio.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah. I mean, it's taken a lot of time, but now that we have like a group name for them, I think I can like categorize them a bit more neatly. I
Yeah.
can start caring about these guys a lot
hmm
more.
And like on
But
top of that, getting to meet the Logos dude, like the big higher up, um, it touched back on that page of the storybook that we saw early on, or not early on, a few episodes ago, where they were like, oh yeah, these are the original people who inherited the swords or whatever. um and it touched back and said, oh, you must be one of the original people. And we thought, oh yeah, some of the, those three dudes look like they were in that storybook thing. So it's touching back on that, and I'm hoping we're getting more of that soon, because they need to serve a function in the plot, or like they need to have uh at least a little bit of interest, because so far they are villains without direction to our knowledge. We don't understand their ambitions, but if we at least know where they come from, then we can kind of gather that, like, they must be doing something must have happened to them, and there's at least a little bit of intrigue whether or not we know what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah, like I mean, like even though we know what they're technically trying to do, John bring like the book worlds into like the real world and kind of
yeah.
like take that apart and stuff. we don't really know why.
Yeah.
And we if we have like that whole driving factor, we can see like, oh, what motivates them,
Hmm.
where did that stem from, and then like why are like the good guys opposing them, and it just makes like the whole plot a lot richer, and that's
Yeah.
something that I think the show is sort of building towards now that we're getting
Hmm.
into the sort of locus a little bit more. It
But
also makes me think that. Oh, go ahead.
oh, I mean, I just feel like it also extends to what was going on with Caliber and that the entirety of the lineage of that suit. It's like these aren't really outside forces. These were people who dissented for a reason and collected together for a singular purpose against the sort of logos. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I really like that aspect behind it.
yeah. I mean, like, who knows what's gonna happen with the Caliber um, suit? We did get to see it in the preview for next
Hmm.
week's episode, so we don't really know who's gonna have it. I mean, if you guys have spoilers, don't put them in the comments down below. We'll
Yeah.
we'll ban you. But
You will be
probably
reported
not.
for spam. Uh,
Yeah.
um,
But like, who knows? It might be that new guy. What was it? Genta from Shinkenger decided to
yeah,
stop
yeah.
by. If he just ends up being Caliber, that'd be really random. But
Hmm.
considering the sword was kind of like lost, makes sense that
Hmm.
any random person could pick it up.
That's
So why
true.
not have a plot relevant person do it? If Reika ends up being the wielder of that sword, that would be pretty neat. Just because it opens up the possibility for female writers in this series, and I really want May to get one.
Yeah, that's true.
She definitely deserves it. She definitely wanted to kind of participate in
Yeah,
this whole
you're
plot.
right. Yeah,
Oh man,
yeah,
poor poor her getting
yeah.
roped into like the freaking B plot. It was so funny. Like in the middle of that fight with Zuos, they just kind of like see that like whole explosion in the middle of that energy, and they're just like, wait a minute, let's go check that out. And they just completely ignore the dude.
Yeah.
And then like he's confused and he's like waddling along with this thick ass suit, and he's like, what guys?
Hello, we were
Where'd you
fighting.
go?
We finally
Yeah.
got to see Blades transform again. It's been a while. Um, I'm happy for it, but I don't know. What do you think of the new form?
The new form, it felt weird. It definitely just came out of nowhere. It was just like, we need this to happen now, so it's gonna happen now. And I
Well,
don't think that like
I
it like
disagree.
I don't know, like out of like all of the Berserk forms, it felt like something in the plot was happening that forced our writers to have like an insane jump in power. Like they needed that insane jump in power and they just couldn't control it and kind of create like a neat dynamic in that way. But for this one, like it never felt like he needed the power of a berserk form. So we just kind of got it handed to him and just like, oh well, now he can style on them with this form. And it wasn't like you really needed it all too much. With like zero one, he did need it against Thouser, and for build, he did need it against I think it was like Rogue and like whatever, Rogue and Grease, like whatever's
Something
going
like
on
that.
there.
I,
But
I don't know.
yeah,
I disagree. Because with 01, I mean, sure, he could use it. Like, he needed it, but he didn't know. Like, when he initially got it, it wasn't because he wanted it, it was because it was forced on him. Much like this power up sort of was. I like the idea that they were able to tie that power up into the ambitions of the bad guys. Like, okay, they're invading the sort of logos to get this insane evil power on their side. That is what they needed for their plan. And I liked it because it gave us the sort of logos and everything that came with it. Then, once they had it, it was too strong. And suddenly it overtook Saber, and I feel like that is, it's going to show like, oh hey, this is how incredibly powerful this is. Saber had a difficult time with those guys, at least before, but with his power up, he was wiping the floor with them. But it is dangerous. So it's either going to be a power that he has to use sparingly and then like keep locked away, or maybe he's able to like actually tame it with the power of the emotions in his sword or whatever. I don't know, but I feel like it's a neat enough setup, especially since there is there was a decent amount of story behind it and why they all wanted it.
Yeah, for me, it's more like it's a decent amount of story like around it, but not like from like the ground up, and it doesn't sound like it was built up from somewhere.
Sure,
But
yeah,
it
it
does,
wasn't built up. Yeah.
but it does kind of feel like with Master Logos giving Storius the book that easily, that maybe he kind of wanted something like this to happen. He's like, I'm gonna let you guys have like this really strong power, so that maybe it falls into Thomas' hands, because he kind of had a feeling that it will.
Mm.
Or I feel like a lot of like the higher ups in like the show, like um, oh my God, Psycho's name,
Ah,
Yuri,
Yuri.
Yuri,
Yeah.
Yuri, and then Tassel, and then maybe the Master Logos. I kind of like see at like the top of this whole hierarchy of like
Mm-hmm.
characters. They probably know that Tom is probably destined for power and stuff like that. Maybe he's using it to like further his ambitions or something like that. Who knows? It could just be like they could use this form to kind of like sprinkle in plot lines from the sort of logos and their ambitions, and just kind of use it as like just like a way of introducing those plot lines in.
Huh. See,
Because
like I don't know. I feel like the Master of Logos or whatever has been so disconnected with the actual swordsman. Like we've never seen him address them, especially if they're that important. And the one who has the flame sword, he's supposed to be one of the most important because he's destined to have it or something. Like
yeah,
if he didn't go address him immediately, then is he even connected to them at all? Like how much does he care? How much does he even know?
I
Because
mean
it
he's got to
doesn't
be
seem
connected
like.
to an extent, because like he was there with like the not him specifically, but like that figure of like Master Logos has kind of been there with the sword's creations. So like maybe he's still like very knowledgeable about it, but he doesn't like
Maybe.
need their power, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe he
know.
has
I
like
don't.
power in other. Maybe he just uses like the books to fucking like beat people up instead of like the actual
Sure.
swords.
I
But
don't
I don't
know
know. I
what
just
his deal is, but they're gonna have to do a lot of heavy lifting to make me understand why we haven't seen him before.
yeah. I mean, they did kind of like give him a hood or something, so maybe they haven't like cast him properly, or maybe he's, Kento. Yeah, he sound like him to me, so I don't know.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. Anyways, did you have anything else to say, or do you want to dive into comments?
Let's do some comments.
All right. First one up, Mr. New Mind and
Oh,
Rocket Force 2 Wattpad Productions. The scene of
oh,
Primitive
wait,
Dragon
hold
went
on.
to
I don't have
zero.
the right ones.
Oh,
1 second.
well, it's short, so you don't have much time. The scene of Primitive Dragon went 0 to 100 real fast.
Wait, what the heck?
Which,
Oh
yeah.
no, I missed it.
Oh, all right. Well, you
That's
go do
fine.
that.
You
I'll
can
just
just say it.
talk. Yeah, I already did. All
Oh,
right. Well, do you have for Rasul's comment?
I have
Because like
two
it's
of
also
them.
about Primitive Dragon. All right. I love Primitive Dragon. The when Saber did the neck movement was awesome and sexy at the same time. I'll be victorious. One Revolution music was used as fight scenery for Primitive Dragon. You guys should watch a Rider Time Decade versus Geo and Geo versus Decade versus the seven Geos. We are. We will be uploading them during Toku Week, which is probably next week, but no guarantees. I mean, we did watch like the first two parts
Yeah.
for it, so it's in the works, but we're kind of like waiting for the entire patch to kind of come through.
Yeah.
And last comment, Double the Unknown. I'm pretty sure Master Logos helped out Toma and Storios because he wanted Toma to obtain the Forbidden Book for some purpose. Also, the lore is starting to get interesting, which makes me wonder why they didn't just expand the lore from the start. Caliber is coming back in some way next episode. I'm hoping it's Yuri who is wielding the blade, so we can see the full power of what he wielded in the past. That is a very interesting one, because I forgot that he also held um, that sword.
Oh
Although I'm
yeah.
more on the side of like, I hope someone else holds both Yuri and that sword. Hopefully our Sandboy. But I don't know. I felt like that would have been like the edgiest return for him. But I'm not even sure if he's gonna be
I
around.
don't know what you're seeing and if that's even gonna be a thing.
It's gonna be hilarious. It's kind of like with uh Kenzan just being batshit crazy as he is. Like I just kind of like watching little disasters like that unfold, and kind of seeing, you know, Kento being put in a position of power, seeing how someone as irresponsible as him, what he will do with that sort of power. I'm kind of curious, just give him all that power. No sand, just raw power.
Sure.
Um, yeah, like overall, the primitive dragon fight scene was pretty neat. Although I feel like Toma's kind of been in this state where he's just kind of like really tired after all of his fight scenes, always beat up. So kind of like seeing him kind of like crouched over like all the time kind of makes me feel bad. Um, but I don't know, when he just whooped their asses, like I felt like the choreography just worked really well. Um, but I don't know. I guess they really want like a different type of berserk form because we had like a lot of like the calm, cool, and collected ones. I think the
I I appreciated that because you know that we switched our main our main I guess not actor, our main
suit
stunt
actor.
actor, yeah, suit actor, to the guy that was Amazon's or in
Oh yeah,
Amazon's. Yeah, so that really showed. And I'm glad they're making use of his expertise in that way.
yes, the
Yeah,
wild man.
that's right.
All right. Well, that's it for our review. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check our description down below. We got a little link that if you watch it, ad revenue goes to support the BLM movement. There's also petitions, all the things you can sign, anything you'd want to do, really. Just go have fun down there. We also have little jokes hidden in the description. Not really, but if you're down there, that's your fault.
Oh,
Anyways, that's it from us. Keep it juicy.
okay. You paused at a very strange time, and I didn't know if I was supposed to click it.
Yeah, I know. I was just like kind of rambling, and then I was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna keep on going on this. And then I'm gonna like stop abruptly and just kind of see if you're like still catching on to what I'm doing.
I.
Yeah.
What were you doing? I didn't catch on to anything.
I don't even know what I'm doing, dude.